Welcome to a history lesson today. And funny enough, it's on the great man himself, Pele, who sadly died a few days ago, December the 29th, 2022. And in many people's opinions, probably mine as well, he was probably the greatest football player of all time. But it's a very good debate and one that I'd like us to have a think about during this lesson too, because there's loads of really good players through history. His real name was Edson Arantes do Nascimento, or Pele, which actually was his nickname. We're going to find out about that in a minute. And there's a picture of him there when he was still a player, but a bit older. And there was his legendary number 10 shirt for his Brazil country that he played for, and won the World Cup 3 times. That's probably the reason why he has to be probably the greatest player of all time, the fact that he won 3 World Cups. But anyway, and he was born in Brazil. He wasn't, let's just have a look at this then. So I've made this presentation up, so let's have a look at this. So there's a picture in there as a young lad. Let me just move my picture there. Now, I won't read all of this, but you could see that he wasn't very well off as a kid. In fact, I saw a really good movie about his life recently, and it showed him and his lads, him and his friends playing football, and they couldn't even afford football boots. So they used to play football barefooted, and he loved football, obviously. He did grow up and had a few tragedies happen to his family and around with his friends as well. And like I said, he wasn't very well off at all. Now, interestingly, a bit of research here. It seems like he should have been called Edison after the inventor Thomas Edison, but it was misspelt. So it's written as Edson on his birth certificate. I can understand that because I had a similar story with my name. But anyway, we'll come back to that later. And his nickname was Deco. But then look at this, he received the nickname Pele. So Pele wasn't his real name at all. Because apparently, now again, we're not sure if this is true, but apparently he used to love a player called Pele, which he misspoke. It sounded like he was saying Pele. So that's one of the reasons why they think that is his nickname given. Interestingly, some research I found out said this, that apart from the assertion that the name is derived from that of Pele, and that is Hebrew for miracle. Well, that's interesting because many people would say that his play was miraculous, and he certainly was. In fact, I've got a video to share with you at the end. I've got a couple of videos I'm going to put on the links here. They're very good. One's a FIFA video, but there's another video I'll share with you in a minute. We'll watch that together. Now, he grew up in poverty. In Brazil, there's lots of like shanty towns and things like that, and favelas they're called. And Pele grew up very poor. His dad taught him to play football, and because they didn't have enough money sometimes to buy even a football, he'd play with anything: a stuffed sock, a newspaper tied with string, or even a grapefruit as well. He played for amateur teams, so teams that were not professional, so he wouldn't have been paid at that time. And then later on, he did become professional as well. He used to play a game called futsal, or football de salão, which is a Brazilian type of and I've played and coached football de salão myself actually, and it's a really good game. And this taught Pele the close ball control skills and dribbling skills that were going to hold him in good stead later on. Let's just turn the page. And there you go. There's a picture of some people playing small-sided futsal on a beach. You can notice there they're playing barefooted there. One of the advantages of that is you can get to feel the ball really well. Now, Pele, that's how he kind of honed his skills. And he said this. He said futsal, indoor football as well, because they used to play indoors as well, presented difficult challenges. He said it was a lot quicker than football on the grass, and that players were required to think faster because everyone is close to each other on the pitch. Pele credits futsal for helping him think better on the spot. In addition, futsal allowed him to play with adults when he was about 14 years old. In one of the tournaments he participated in, he was initially considered too young to play, but eventually went on to end up top scorer with 14 or 15 goals. And Pele said, that gave me a lot of confidence. I knew then not to be afraid of whatever might come. So that's interesting, isn't it? So that's it toughened him up, didn't it, as well? Now, Pele, I'm going to jump a little bit. I'm just going to focus on a few areas. So 1958 World Cup in Sweden. Brazil ended up winning the World Cup, and there's a picture of young Pele at the age of 17. He started his professional career. He was playing for a club called Santos in Brazil, and he started hitting the headlines, and he was brought into the Brazilian squad, and he had a really, really good World Cup. Knocked out Wales in the quarterfinals. That was managed by the Manchester United assistant manager, Murphy. And he scored the only goal in that game. It was Wales, wasn't it? Yeah. So, and that was up until recently, the last World Cup that Wales had been involved in. And Pele had a really good World Cup and ended up becoming a world champion at the age of 17. So that was World Cup #1. And in 1962, there's a picture in there in 1962 in action. He scored a brilliant individual goal in a 2-0 win over Mexico, but then sadly was injured and ended up watching most of the World Cup. But again, Brazil went on to win. So he's part of that World Cup winning squads. So what's that? He's 21 years old now, and he's the holder of 2 World Cup winner medals. Wow. Then the 1966 World Cup in England, which was won by England. Brazil were actually the favourites to win the World Cup. And if you want to watch some footage of that World Cup, Pele was a marksman, and football was different then. You could get away with a lot more things. This is one of the reasons why I think Pele has to be up there, because he got battered and bruised. In fact, I'll just read you this quote. It says, "The world's greatest player was reduced to a hobbling, bandaged shadow from the 30th minute in the game against Portugal, with the great Eusebio in the team, after a bone-jarring challenge from Moraes." That happened. That's the guy in the picture, I think. With substitutes not allowed at the time, Pele had to stay on the field limping for the rest of the game, powerless to help his team in any meaningful way. He was basically kicked out of the World Cup. Pele actually vowed never to play in any FIFA World Cup after that again, but then was convinced to come back for the 1970 World Cup in Mexico. And this is where he really forged his legend, basically, by winning his 3rd World Cup. Many people say the 1970 World Cup final was one of the best World Cup finals ever. I would say up until the 2022 World Cup final, you're right. This one that's just gone was a really good game as well, wasn't it? But for goals, 1970 was amazing. I think it was 4-1 to Brazil against Italy, and Pele scoring twice in the World Cup final. It says here, look, it was a tournament the Brazilian needed. He was overshadowed by Didi and Vava in 1958 and injured in the 1962 competition. And this shows Pele celebrating after winning the World Cup final against Italy at the Estadio Azteca in Ciudad del Mexico. So yeah, Brazil ended up really beating Italy, and Italy were a good team. So Brazil destroyed them in the final, but Italy and Pele was the hero and voted the most valuable player and scored loads of goals. There's a picture of him playing for Santos. These are some of the quotes I've dug out. So I arrived hoping to stop a great man, but I went away convinced I'd been undone by someone who was not born on the same planet as the rest of us, said one of the great players who played against him. That Benfica goalkeeper Costa Pereira, following the loss to Santos in 1962. So Santos, a lot of people say that Pele can't be regarded as the greatest of all time because of the fact that he never played in Europe. And I can understand why they say that. But he did play against the best European teams, like, for instance, Benfica at the time, and he did often come up as victorious. So, and obviously in the World Cup, they would have come up against top teams from Europe as well. It's a picture of him before playing Boca Juniors in the second leg of the 1963 Copa Libertadores finals at La Bombonera in Buenos Aires. He's the all-time leading scorer for Santos FC. That was his Brazilian career. Then he went to a club in New York Cosmos. Now, obviously, America, USA, at this time in the 70s, were trying to promote their American football career, and he went there basically. And then I'm just going to read what it says here, because his last game was on. He kind of retired, then went back into semi-retirement, and then came and played this last game on October the 1st, 1977. So I was 5 years old then. Pele closed out his career in an exhibition match between the Cosmos and Santos, so his 2 previous teams. The match was played in front of a sold-out crowd at Giant Stadium in New York and was televised in the United States on ABC's Wide World of Sports, as well as throughout the world. Pele's father and wife both attended the match, as well as Muhammad Ali and Bobby Moore. Delivering a message to the audience before the start of the game, he said, "Love is more important than what we can take in life." That's interesting because if you notice his last ever post on, I think it was Instagram, wasn't it? He said something similar about love. So interesting he said that. Pele played the first half with Cosmos, the second with Santos. The game ended with the Cosmos winning 2-1, with Pele scoring with a 30-yard free kick for the Cosmos in what was the final goal of his career. During the second half, it started to rain, prompting a Brazilian newspaper to come out with the headline the following day, "Even the sky was crying." Interesting, isn't it? One of my favourite films as a kid was this film called Escape to Victory, and Pele was in this film, as well as others. You might notice some famous people. The goalkeeper, you know who that is? That's Sylvester Stallone, the actor from Rocky. You've got Bobby Moore next to Pele here. So that was the great Bobby Moore, the England captain. This is Michael Caine, an actor, famous actor. Ozzy Ardiles, who won the World Cup with Argentina. Pele. There are some other famous players as well. I can't quite make it out from their faces, but that's Russell Osman there. I used to play for Ipswich Town. He did. And anyway, it's a really good film. Basically, it's about prisoners of war in World War II, and they're captured by the Germans, and they have to play this game against the Germans, and they get battered and bruised. And Pele has a little appearance in the film and plays in the game. It's just a good film. Basically, I just enjoyed it. Now, who, in your opinion, is the GOAT, the greatest of all time? Now, this is a big debate. Now, obviously, I'm going to just say, now Pele is obviously most people's favourite, but you've got some other players like George Best, Manchester United, genius. Oh, I loved, my dad loved. You've got some other great players. Messi just won the World Cup. You know, he's won all sorts. He's a great player, a wonderful player. Cristiano Ronaldo, one of my favourites as well. What a player. Neymar Jr. Nah. Who else? Maradona. Well, Maradona, a wonderful player as well. The reason I would say no to him, although he was brilliant, and the goal he scored against England where he took on most of the team was outstanding. But sadly for me, because he cheated with the handball goal, I can't quite mark him as the greatest of all time. And plus, Pele won more World Cups, so there you go. That immediately knocks him out. But what a player Maradona was as well. A sweet left foot. Zidane, what a player. Johan Cruyff. Oh, and the list could go on. You can write your comments who you think is the best as well, if you want. But it's a debate that will probably never be answered, because then you could say, well, what about defenders? What about goalkeepers? You know, it's always attacking players that get chosen, isn't it? But if you said goalkeepers, then you've got another whole list of players. So it really is a good debate as well. Right, let's watch a video together. And just going to watch this now. And I want to share this with you and see what you think. Now, we mentioned Maradona. This is Maradona with Pele. So I'm going to just play this and pause it a little bit. So Pele and Maradona, who often got compared with each other, they meet each other. And Maradona says, "My dream is to do a couple of juggles with you." So here we go, see what happens.
El sueño mío es poder hacer un par de cabezas con usted.
Pues será que lo hacemos.
¡Dale!
¿A qué hora vamos a parar? ¿A qué hora vamos a parar?
And there's one thing I will say about Pele as well. Like, Maradona had probably one of the best left foots ever. But Pele was 2-footed. He was also good in the air. He was strong as well. He had a good shot. And now watch some of these great goals. This video is entitled "Why Pele Was Called the King of Football." I love the way he glides with the ball. Look at the way he glides, and some of the tackles coming in. If they would have got him, he'd have been really injured. But he just glides away from them effortlessly. It's like watching an ice skater. Rewind that for a bit, because nutmegging one person, where that's what it's called when you put the ball through someone's legs, is hard. He does it to 2 players in a row. Watch this. Oh, I love this. Here, watch it again. 1, 2. And look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defenders around Pele. They just don't know what's going on, do they? Pele's just turning one way or the other. They don't know what's going on. And the goalie, poor goalie's going to get it. Didn't like that goal. That was against England, that last one. That was the one against Wales, I think. That was the 1970 World Cup final against Italy. It's just not fair, is it? It's just not fair. When Pele was at his prime, it was just not fair being a defender. It must have been a defender's nightmare. Well, there you go. That's for you to decide now. So, what a player. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to put some other links as well on this description for this lesson. Please watch them as well, because they're all fantastic and really interesting to watch as well. So have a nice day, and thank you for joining me, and carry on the debate. Who's the greatest footballer of all time? Was it Pele? That's for you to decide.